Hey everyone. Well, I guess it's been just a little over 2 months since I last worked on my trees at all. Besides being really busy, I also just decided just to let my trees do a lot of growing. And they did do a lot of growing so far. We've had an excellent summer. Very warm weather so far and humid weather. Nothing crazy though. And we've had periodic rain off and on, so we've been quite lucky, especially compared to some other parts of the country where we've got some forest fires going on and some drought. So it seems this year we seem to have all the rain. Well, anyways, let's see, we can start down at this end of the bench here. I've also just repotted some of my trees lately, just quickly, because the last year or so it's been harder for me to get perlite. So I've just the last 2 years I've potted some of my trees up in just turfus, which is not the best, because especially over a couple of years time, it can actually start to harden up and basically start to stick together after being wet, and then it seems to stick together as the soil dries. So it's always good to add the perlite to it, because it keeps it separated. So when your soil goes wet and then it dries, you got that perlite in there that kind of keeps the separation. So especially with this stuff, it's this oil absorbent stuff, so the perlite does work best with it. So this is my Fukian tea, is one of the ones that I just got done repotting lately. I'll also get to something else I got this year. So I got a sifter also, so I'm also sifting my perlite and turfus now. So this is one of the ones that I just repotted about a month ago in some fresh soil. I didn't do much root pruning at all. All I did was just trim the radius. I straightened out a couple of roots, but that was pretty much it. Nothing heavy duty. I didn't have to, because it wasn't really long ago that I repotted this. I think it was just about 1.5 years ago. So the good thing is that I'm getting more radial roots on this tree that I didn't have before. They kind of came out this side here and then out the other side and then down. So I didn't have anything on either this side or the other side. So just starting to get some more radial roots, which is good. So it's doing okay. Just starting to get some more growth on here. I also trimmed it back at that time a little bit. You'll see over here my tiger bark ficus is really grown. You'll remember when I did a video on this tree, maybe it was back in the winter time sometime, when I potted it. We cut it away back, and this originally was set up in a pot as a cascade. And you can see how the new growth is really hardened off over this winter. Maybe it was last fall when I did this, I can't quite remember. So we can look at that again sometime. Here's my apple bonsai. You can see that's really shot off and grown. It's unbelievable. Back in the springtime, I cut it away back here. I don't think I did a video on it. I could have, I just can't remember right now. Anyways, I did cut it back, and we've got a lot of growth on it now. It's doing really well. I also should repot that, because that's just got turfus in it. And like I said, over time, over a couple years, it'll start to stick together and the water kind of pools on top in some areas. And even if it starts to drain through, it all the roots don't get the water. Sometimes the roots get encased in this hardened turfus. At least this turfus anyways, this oil absorb. So yeah, like I said, it's always best to use the perlite with this stuff, at least anyways. Here's another ficus, literati style. It's really grown. This used to be like a little ball on the top of the tree, and now it's really taken off. So we're gonna have to work on this too before too long. And we have my judicaba tree over here. It's not doing the greatest. I got to get it out of this pot, and we got to repot it. I've had this for over a year and a half now. This came from Chris the Bonsai Guy. It was doing excellent until about halfway through the winter, and I don't know. I think I got to get it out of the pot and get it repotted. It was doing excellent. You can see it exfoliates the bark. Here's a good example of that here. You can see here. It looks pretty cool. And here's my hibiscus. It's doing really well. You can see the different branches on it. It's doing all right. As we come up near the top, we got some flowers that are going to be coming out. My other ficus cuttings. Well, they were cuttings. I guess I should start calling them small trees now. They're not really cuttings anymore. They're really growing. So my lemon cypress is in the back, growing like crazy. There is the one lemon cypress cutting. It was a cutting. I can almost call it a tree anytime soon now. It is growing like crazy. So it is the only cutting that survived out of the lemon cypress cuttings from last year's cuts. You'll remember maybe an earlier video about that. And here's my Bert Davy ficus. This is another one that we got to really get repotted badly. It is doing well. I also got this from the Chris the Bonsai Guy about a year and a half ago. It's doing really well. You can see I gotta really repot that. You can see the root coming across the top of the soil there. Yeah, so that's another one I gotta really get at here. I got some catching up to do, obviously, guys. There's some little Chinese elm cuttings that I got about 2 years ago. They're still quite small, but definitely not as small as when I potted them up. Here's my Green Island ficus. It's doing well, it's growing. I did cut it back last spring too. The soil is still good in here. I think we just did a repot on that about a year ago, so that should be good for a while yet. Here's my bougainvillea. I did just recently repot this also, along with my Fukian tea. So you can see the perlite in there. And I also cut it back so you can see some new growth coming in here. And here's my geranium bonsai. And the trunk just keeps getting a little thicker, so that's good. I've just let it grow. I haven't cut it back for quite a while now. It would have been the last video that I cut this back. I haven't touched it since. I've just let it grow. Yeah, so we're getting all kinds of flowers on it. Some new growth. We'll cut this back again real soon. And of course we've had some casualties this year, and one of them being my avocado tree. You can see it in behind here. Right here, it's died. So yeah, it didn't make it. It was doing so well, and then I don't know, it just went on me. I think I've had it for about 2 years now, and it was doing fairly decently, but then, you know, that's it. So I don't think I'm gonna bother with another one of those. They're pretty temperamental. There's some more Chinese elm. So that one's really grown. I even cut that back up here last spring. This one's really taken off. That used to be a very small little cutting, about the size of this little branch right here 2 years ago. So that really took off. And here's my kapok trees. I also repotted these with my new soil this year. They haven't done a lot of growing yet. They're just starting to take off now, really. See some new growth there. So I kind of held them back a little wee bit when I just repotted them a few weeks ago. But it looks like they're kind of taken to the soil now and just starting to put out some new growth now. So that means that the roots will be growing a little more. I did a little bit of trimming on the roots, but nothing major. And here's my Growia trees. Hard to see here, but I have 2 of them. They're really neat. You can see they're all out in bloom. And the only thing I did to these trees is last spring is I cut them away back. I just took away back a lot of the newer growth so it could just start growing again. I've just been growing these for about the last 1.5 years. I also got these from Chris the Bonsai Guy. These are excellent growers. If anybody's you know, looking for a great little tree, a great little hardy tree to grow as a bonsai. So far, like in the last 1.5 years, I've noticed these grow just excellent. I mean, I've had them under the lights inside in the winter time, and you know, even they grow excellent even under the lights, almost as well as they do outside here. The only thing I noticed out here is that they get more blooms, and other than that, that's pretty much it. I can get just as much growth on them inside as I can outside. At least this last couple of years I've noticed that anyways. It's just that outside, yeah, I get more blooms. So we also have to repot these, and you know, we'll cut them away back and repot them. Work on the roots. Whether we get into the initial, whether we start styling them or not, we'll see at the time. But we'll definitely get them repotted, and we'll cut them away back anyways. Here's one of the coral bean trees. That's one of the trees from Todd's Tropicals. Actually, I'll show you the trees from Todd's Tropicals here that I got about 2 years ago now. So that's one of the coral bean trees. I got a few other smaller ones. They grow and then they seem to die back a little bit and then they grow again. So it's kind of weird. This one's the best one though. It's definitely growing the best. And I got lots of monkey ear trees in here. I got a whole forest of them. Although they're not planted in a forest, they're all in little pots. Looks like a forest though from up here. So yeah, they're all smaller trees, but I have a few of those. There's another kapok tree. This is a cutting from last winter. Sometime in the winter time when I cut those kapok trees away back, they're doing actually really well. There's one, and here's the other one here. It's doing fairly well also. And here's my bullhorn acacia. You can see here how big it is now. It's yeah, it's way up here. So it's really grown. It's at about 2.5 feet. Yeah, it's about 2.5 feet tall now. Yeah, it's incredible. You can see all the thorns on here, hence the name bullhorn. The trunk's really getting thick. It's almost as thick as my pinky finger. Yeah, doing really well. So even up near the top here, it continues to get some more branching going on, so that's good. And here's the smaller one down here. It hasn't changed a whole lot, but we have got some new growth on it, and it continues to grow. This one's always been a little bit slower growing, a little bit further behind. However, it's growing. Here's my eastern red cedar. You guys probably can't see it. Look at all the weeds. That's pathetic, I know. It's not in bonsai soil. It's actually still in the soil that I dug it up out of the ground with. It's just a big clumping of dirt inside of that pot. But it has grown. It's grown a lot. This was a very, very small little tree. It was in the grass and it was mowed over with a lawnmower every week, so it kept it very small. And amazingly, it just survived. I think this thing would probably be about 3 years old, maybe something like that. And this year, it's really taken off. So I got to get this into bonsai soil and at least into, you know, into a nursery pot or something like that, so I can start to grow it better. And here we have the Deinonychus regia. And this is from Jared at Jarhead Bonsai. He sent this to me almost a year ago. I think it was last September that he sent this to me. Let's take this out here in the sun a little bit. Oh, maybe it's too bright. Anyways, it's doing very well. I still have to, it's still in the original soil and pot that it was shipped in, but you know, it's great soil. It drains really good. Yeah, it's actually really good soil. So, and it's doing very well. So I'm not in a huge rush to repot it right now. If it doesn't get repotted for a while, that's okay, because it's definitely not root bound yet. But I mean, it would do good if I did get it into a larger pot. So yeah, it's doing very well. This summer, it's so far in this last month and a half, it's just taken right off. So that's awesome. Hopefully it'll keep doing well. Let's see here. Here's one of my Manitoba maples here. It's really taken right off here. We gotta cut that away back. And we should be doing a repot with this too and put it into some better soil. The trunk is getting thicker on it, so that's good. Some other smaller ones there. Boy, oh boy, there's a lot of weeds in those, so I gotta get rid of those too. Here's all my succulents. My crown of thorn cuttings, which aren't really cuttings anymore. They've really taken off. I think they're about 2 years old now, roughly. These cuttings, about a year and a half maybe. It's one of my jade trees. These were all originally cuttings from it, but they've really taken off over this last couple of years. Got these funny looking things growing in there. I forget what these are called. Something chain. I can't remember now. But anyway, kind of crazy looking things. Almost look like big bushes. It's another little maple with lots of weeds. Another apple that I've grown. My cedar cuttings, they're not really cuttings anymore. It's fantastic. They've actually turned into small trees. Wow. We got roots coming out of the bottom there, so you can see that. So they're growing well. I'm gonna have to repot that. You can see they're really growing. You can see the new growth on the top. They've just really taken off. This is just a cutting that I took from my cedar hedge when I trimmed it last year. Wait, that was a year before last year. Yeah, year before last year. About a year and a half ago. So they're doing excellent. Here's the other one. It's not doing too bad. Looks like something keeps chewing the top of it. That's kind of probably one of the rabbits, I guess. It's not doing too bad considering it's got a hole in the side of it, but it's coming along. Here's this wild and crazy vine. It's like a bulbous vine. I got these cuttings from Nigel. He's got one there. Really cool looking vine-like plant. And I just threw these cuttings in here was about a year ago or something like that, and they've just started to take off now. They've been kind of dormant all winter. Haven't really done a lot until now, so yeah. So this is another one that I want to repot and get it out of this turfus. I have to put my new mix in there that I've just mixed up this year with my perlite. And over here we have a great big jade plant. So this was a house plant, and I've had this now for probably about 2 years. I think I've included this in other videos that I've had. So it's just a great big bush right now. It wasn't doing the greatest when I got it out of this home, and it's just literally taken right off this last 2 years. It's you can see the trunk in there. It's quite the size. Probably about 1.5 inches in diameter. Inch and a half, getting closer to 2 inches. It's doing really well. It's just outside here again. I'm just letting it grow wild. I've got a pot for it already, actually, that I got about 1.5 years ago at Chris the Bonsai Guy. It's sitting downstairs still. I've been meaning to get it into a pot before now, however I haven't, but you know, just letting it grow out like this is definitely not hurting it either, so it's just getting larger, which is okay. Yeah, this is going to be quite the potting up with this one. And while we're here, these cuttings came from my Gullam Jade bonsai. So these are they're starting to take off now, and I think I pruned these off. It's probably about back in the winter time sometime. Just got these in pots. Mr. Turtle. And here's some more, and they're doing good. Just starting to really take off. Actually, we'll go visit my Gullam Jade. Well, we'll come back to my other small bench here where my succulents are. Here's my Kalanchoe. You can see it's starting to come back from the last time we really pruned it back. I have to repot that also. Get it into some better soil. It'll enjoy the perlite, along with a lot of these guys actually that I've planted over this last 1.5 years during the pandemic, including this guy. So here's my Gullam Jade. You can see it's come back, and it's got some color in the leaves because of the sun, the bright sun. Yeah, the bright sun does that to the leaves. Looks really nice. Yeah, I gotta get some good sifted soil in there. Glad I was able to pick up some perlite now too. So it's growing miraculously in there. Anyways, we'll get that repotted also. I have a lot to do. We'll go check out something else that didn't work out this year. I don't think I did a video on this, but I ended up digging this cedar out of the back of my yard. If you will remember, I got this from a walkway where it was kind of lying across the ground like this, and it was stompled on and walked on and ran on and probably driven on. And I put it out the back of my property here behind the cedars, the big cedars, and it was doing quite well. Well, this year I decided to put it into some soil, into a pot, and try growing it, and it's just slowly died off on me. just at the tip here I've got a little wee bit of green, so I'm not going to be so quick to uproot it yet. As a matter of fact, I think I'm just going to just leave it in there and even till next spring. Just see if it surprises me with something out, maybe out around the bottom next spring. If I don't see anything out of this by about next June, then I'll just pull it out of the pot and be done with it, I guess. So that's too bad. I was really looking forward to growing this tree. And over here we have this larger ficus from up in my living room. Probably about back in May, I cut this away back. This was quite the size tree, like it was a great big round ball. Long story short, so I cut it away way back, and just this last couple months it shot out all new branches on it, so hopefully it'll just keep on filling in. This is where a lot of my Ficus benjamina cuttings came from. Well, actually, they all did. Well, that's it for today, guys. I'm not going to keep this video any longer than what it is now. As you can see, I've definitely got my work cut out for me. So I've got to start repotting some of these trees here and working on a few of them, at least 3 or 4 of them. So until the next one, which will hopefully be soon, things are looking better. Take care, guys.